Hi everyone, this is Rhonda and Laurie, and today we have a training video that we're going to be describing two of the new functionalities, features that have been added into your GoHealth system. The first one is going to be describing the session limits that you can track now based on the payer. And the second is the feature that we're going to be describing is the adding a subscriber to a client. So in an instance for a child, it's not the subscriber for the insurance, but their parent may be. We're going to show you how to add that into the client guarantors, and then this information would then go out on a claim. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Rhonda, can you demonstrate the session limit functionality?
Certainly. All right, to set the session limit for a specific client, you'll want to go into that Client Guarantors module. And as Laurie mentioned, this is a setting in the database. So if you have a guarantor or a payer that you need to allow session limits for, just let us know through our service desk and we'll certainly turn that on for you. It's a simple switch in the database for that specific payer. So if you'll notice here, I'll just show you what it looks like for a guarantor who does not have session limits set to allow. So you'll see here that there's no extra field showing here. But when I go to a guarantor who does have that setting set in the database, you'll see that the session limit field will appear for that guarantor. And again, that's just a simple setting within the database. So for any payer that has this session limit set to allow, you will see these fields once you select that guarantor in the drop-down here. So we would just, at this point, set this up as you would normally for the client. You would put in the payer ID. If there's a group number, you can put that in there. And this is where you would set the session limits for that payer for this client. And then a start and an end date. So if a start and end date applies, you would just put that information in here. And I'm going to set this one just for this month. So we'll say within this month, this client can receive 10 sessions for this payer source. And at this point, you would just click add. So I'm going to scroll so that you can see here what happens. So now we've added this payer source, CASA, for this client. And you can see here that the session limit is set to 10 for this particular session start and end date. So what you would see in the system now is that your header information will be updated with that information. So now you see that this client has a guarantor of CASA, and at this point, 0 of 10 sessions are used. Now, as you or your staff enter your notes, you would start seeing a count here of sessions that are actually used. So 2 of 10 sessions or 3 of 10 sessions will show up here as notes are entered for this client. Another feature is at the dashboard for the assigned clinician. That assigned clinician will see how many sessions are remaining for this client when they're looking at their RCM or RMHP list. So you'll see here that Bart is on my RCM list, and I have a notification here that shows 0 of 10 sessions used for CASA for this client. So it's very helpful information there at a glance to know how many sessions have been used and how many remain. So now we'll go back to Bart's chart. And so that's very simple how to set session limits for your clients. Now we'll go into actually showing the subscriber information and how to set that up for your client. Again, you would do this, the first part of it or part of it in Client Guarantors. So now we're going to select Aetna as our payer source. So in this instance, we're going to pretend that Bart is covered under his dad Homer's insurance. And so Bart is the person receiving the services, but he is not the insured. The insured is other than the client. And so at this point, we would just click this checkbox. You'll see that some drop downs have appeared. The insured here is the person that you would need to select for the subscriber name that would go out on the claim. And at this point, you would use this drop down to find that subscriber or that insured. And we'll see here that Homer is not listed in this drop down. Now, one thing to note is that this information pulls from the client signatory screen. And so at this point, if you do not find the insured name that you're looking for, you'll need to go to client signatories and set that person up as a non-signatory contact. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'll back out of client guarantors and go into client signatories. You'll see here now that we have 2 active signatories on this client's chart, and the rest of these in red are all expired. And these were the 2 that you saw pulling to the drop down over in client guarantors. Well, we didn't see Homer, so we want to make sure to add him here so that he's an option to add as the insured on the guarantor. We'll just add him quickly here.
So in this instance where we're not necessarily wanting to, we're wanting to assign the type for Homer, we would select non-signatory contact.
That's correct, non-signatory contact. And one thing to note is that it doesn't have to be the non-signatory contact. It could be a guardian, it could be a treatment advocate, but if it's someone who's not going to be regularly signing the chart, then you can set them up as a non-signatory contact. So we'll just put in his information. You'll see 2 new fields here. There's gender and date of birth. And that's because on the claim information, that information has to go out with the subscriber name and address as well. So we'll go ahead and choose his gender and his date of birth. We'll just say he was born 12/31. Well, I'm struggling with this one. Let's do it this way. We'll do it October 1st. You can put the phone information in there as well, the email information, and then you would just put the start date. So we'll just start him with 10/1. And at this point, you hit the check mark. And you'll see that Homer is now a non-signatory contact on Bart's chart. If you maybe put information in error, or maybe you want to enter this email, you would simply hit this edit button, and it would bring this information up to you to the top of the screen here for you to edit. And one thing to note is that because you selected non-signatory contact here, we're not seeing a pin option here. And it's because we've already established that this is not going to be someone who's going to be signing notes or forms on the chart. And so there's no need to have a pin option for them. And so now that we have him, Homer, set up as one of our signatories, we'll go ahead and go back to client guarantors. And now for our payer, for Aetna, once we hit that the insured is other than the client, we'll see that Homer is now an option in our dropdown. So we would choose him here. And we want to go ahead and tell the system how the client is related to the insurer. And we would just simply go down and find father in this instance. And now we would put in the payer ID, a group number if necessary, and a copay if necessary. And at this point, you would simply hit add. So now you'll see that Aetna is one of our active guarantors and that Homer is the insured for this client. The relationship is the father, and then of course we have the start and the end date. And it's as simple as that. That is how you add a subscriber or an insured that's other than the client to the client's chart, so that when you create claims for this client for that guarantor, the subscriber or the insured is the name that will go out on the claim along with the actual client receiving services. Laurie, do you have any questions?
I think that's it. We thank you guys for watching the video. And of course, if you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.